Good morning, and welcome. Oh dear, I put my seat in a little funny place. Good morning, and welcome to this week's episode of Monday Motivation. My name's Jenny Kovacs, and I'm the person that's nicknamed the Queen of Being Seen because you've been able to spread your ripples far and wide and have an impact in the world. And be able to share your story is why I get out of bed every morning, and especially early on a Monday morning to bring this 7 a.m. live so that you can absorb it, watch it, digest it, and actually put it into your morning, your Monday, your week, and sometimes even your month too. So if this is the first time you're watching, hello, and if you're watching on the replay, hi to you too. I thought I would share something that motivated me, and in case you're wondering where these even came from, Monday Motivations actually started as something that I did back in my previous life when I was a very senior training manager in financial services. And I realised that not only within financial services, but everywhere in the work world, Monday was getting a bit of a bad rap. So I started off by sending through a little pep for the morning, the Monday morning, a little saying, a little something to uplift people and make them, a little bit more happy to be where they were on a Monday. When I started my business in 2010, I decided to take this tradition with me. And then 2 years ago, in 2016, I actually decided to use the wonders of modern technology that is Facebook Live and start to share those Monday motivations literally worldwide. We've had people watching from America, from New Zealand, from Hong Kong, and from all over Europe, and of course the UK where I'm based here in London. So if anything that I say today, really sparks a thought, gets you motivated, gets you excited for your Monday or your morning or even your week, then I would love for you just to hit the share button and share this on your timeline. Share it with your friends, share it with your family, because you never ever know who might need to hear this at any given time. I've been really blessed actually to receive messages from people both that I know and people that I don't know, from all four corners of the globe, to say thank you very much. These Monday motivations got me through a divorce. Somebody else was saying thank you so much. I was in a job that I didn't really enjoy and the Monday motivations helped me. Somebody else once sent me a message and said that it helped with their aspirations for wanting bigger and better for themselves. So if you're like Lisa, who's hopped on and is watching, and want to say hello, please do say good morning. Please do ask any questions. We'll be here for 20 minutes or so. And if you are watching this on the replay and you want to find out a little bit more about how you can work with me as a coach or as a mentor or even as a speaker, then by all means hit the message button at the top of the page and I'll be more than happy to have a conversation with you and make sure that I can actually add value to your organisation. Chances are that if I can't, I have quite a big network of other people who speak, who train, who coach, and can definitely point you in the right direction. So this morning I wanted to talk about the film Black Panther, but I'm not actually going to talk about the film because I realise there are people still yet to see it, so I don't want to do any spoiler alerts. But at the weekend, hi Dale, hi, thanks for saying hello and jumping on. At the weekend I went to see Black Panther. A lot of my friends had seen Black Panther, a lot of people have been talking about Black Panther, and the film itself is amazing for so many reasons. And this might sound a strange thing to say in 2018, but I'm going to speak to the elephant in the room here. When I was growing up, remembering that I was born in the 70s, when I was growing up, my superheroes on TV were people like Charlie's Angels. Who remembers them, Charlie's Angels? There were people like Charlie's Angels, like Wonder Woman. And then the only form of maybe diversity that started to come into superheroes was in the 80s with the A-Team. A man, B.A. Baracus, big strong man, who led the way with his team but was scared of flying. Now, I don't know about you, especially if you are a black woman, an Asian woman, I don't know about you, but quite often, and to be fair and to be truthful to all the clients that I work with, both male, female, gay, straight, and everything else in between, many of the common denominators for all of us were identifying with people as role models that we really valued and really loved. And for me growing up, that wasn't a thing. So to get to 2018, we're in 2018, and to find a film with, mainly a black cast in there. You know, a lot of the people behind the scenes, the directors and people like that, were black. You know, to have a superhero that's black is a big deal for me. And I thought I would speak to that because people might not realise what all the fuss is about. But if you can identify with anything that I've just said there, you will get it. So I went along to see the film. It's a film based on a Marvel character. And the person I went along to see it with is really into Marvel. To be fair, I wasn't a big Marvel fan as a kid. So as I went to go and see it, I was expecting, well, I don't know really what I was expecting. I was expecting a bit of kind of culture maybe, a bit of the usual Marvel stuff, and a good film by all accounts. And interestingly, what I got was a film that I would definitely go and see again. In fact, many of my friends are on their second and third visit. This is probably not for this Monday motivation, and possibly for a conversation to open up within the group, which, if you're not part of, the Visibility Vibes Tribe, is an awesome group of really amazing people doing spectacular things in the world. And one of the things that I noticed was the kind of the demographics of the people in the audience, and the fact that actually at the cinema that I went to see at in London, it was showing virtually on Saturday every half an hour throughout the day, and yet it was pretty much packed each time. But what I want to share with you are a couple of like sound bites, if you like, that came out of the film. And in order to preserve those of you who haven't seen the film yet, I'm not going to talk about the film. So Alan's saying good morning to everyone. So we've got Dale on, we've got Lisa on, we've got Alan on. I know we've got some more people on, but unless you say hello, I won't kind of shout you out because I like to preserve and respect your privacy. Lisa's saying that she wants to go for her birthday next week. I know it's your birthday next week, Lisa. I'll be celebrating you. You'll love it. It occurred to me that as I sat through the film and as I watched the film, every now and then, and I have to say it was really one of the most difficult things for me as someone that always has my iPhone close to hand or my smartphone close to hand. One of the most difficult things for me throughout that film was not reaching for my phone just to make a note of some of the things that were said, because who knew that in such you know, a beautifully made film, in such an engaging film, in a film that has so much media attention, you know, it's broken box office records, who knew that it would be like a bit of a personal development seminar in itself. And this is not to spoil anything, but just to say there were so many sound bites, so many nuggets. You know, if you work in leadership, and a lot of my clients are both entrepreneurial but also corporate, if you work in leadership, I think a really great move would be to get your leadership team into a cinema and get them to watch that, because there's so many great nuggets and sound bites around how to lead people, around tribes of people, around communities, around, you know, making things better, making the world a better place. So I've just picked out a couple of sound bites, and in order not to spoil anything, I'm not going to tell you anything about the film, just the sentence and what it brought up for me. And as I say, please feel free to share this with other people too. So I'm going to start off with the first one. The first thing that kind of sprang into my head and really got me thinking was there's a line in there where they talk about saving or serving. And that really sprang out to me because as a visibility specialist, I can be helping entrepreneurs to stand out through how they speak, how they present themselves and their business, whether they do that on video, whether they do it live in the room as a speaker or as a trainer. And quite often, I also find myself in a more corporate environment, a more structured environment where the corporation has brought me in to either speak to or work with a team of people to help them get the best out of themselves, which in turn, you know, gets the best out of the actual company or organisation as well. And I'm not going to tell you that one of these is right or wrong, because I don't agree that one is right or wrong. It depends on the work that you do. So if, for example, you're a holistic healer, and you you know, help with, I don't know, maybe you massage, but you do modalities like Reiki and things like that, you could inadvertently be saving somebody. or you could be serving somebody. But I would say about 80% of the businesses that I work with, they're normally selling a product or a service that cannot be seen. So it could be that they're selling a concept, an idea. It could be that they're selling a way of life, a different way of life. Maybe it's health and well-being, maybe it's dietary, maybe it's a new way to think about things, a new way to navigate in the world. And one of the people that I personally think has done this the most successfully is Marianne Williamson, because she does it with heart, she does it with truth, she does it with honesty. And I speak about her a lot because, if something, if she's given a lecture or a talk and something hasn't gone well within her world, she'll tell you that. And I know that for many of you watching that you love Marianne Williamson as much as I do. So she's actually, do a search on Facebook, but she's actually in London on the 30th of May. I saw it on Saturday morning. I have already booked my ticket to go and see her. It's an evening thing, so it's, I think, 7 till or 6 o'clock, something like that, for a couple of hours. But I've already booked my ticket to see her. So here's the thing. Neither is right or wrong, good or bad. One of the biggest things I see when people want to be more visible, when they want to really be seen, like be seen for who they are and what they do. They don't want that label that says, oh, I'm just a coach, or I'm just a mentor, or I just do this thing. But they want to be seen for what they do. And sometimes in order to be seen for what you do, it takes lots of words to describe it. When you are letting people know about the work that you do, I would strongly suggest, just from this saving or serving lyric that I heard in the Black Panther film, decide, make your own decision as to where you want your come from to be. Do you want to save people, or do you want to serve? Now, here's a really great way to do this. Say the words to yourself, and there'll be something within the way that it's said or sounds that feels great or doesn't feel so great. Hey Ian, good to see you. Thanks for popping on and saying hi. There'll be something in the way that the word lands when you say it. And this is going to sound strange, but we, in order to create our thoughts, and in order to create our feelings, we normally have thoughts. Sometimes it's a bit of an inner dialogue. Sometimes we see something, and this happens in such rapid succession that it flashes across our mind. We don't notice that we have seen the thing, but we feel something around it. So if I said to you, what you're doing is serving the world, how does that feel versus what you're doing is saving the world? So, with the clients that I've worked with, they've expressed things like, it feels like too much pressure, or they've said, I don't feel like I need to save anybody. Think about the dynamic, not of the people that you work with, or the clients that you work with, or the environment that you work in. Think of how that feels for you if you feel like you're saving people. Because for many of the people helpers that I know and love working with, and riff with in the Vibes Tribe and my special inner circle, I really I think sometimes if we feel like we're saving somebody, we need a payoff. And for many of us, that doesn't feel like the best place to come from. So it can be very frustrating if we've got our target on somebody and we're trying so desperately to save them, and maybe they're not wanting to save themselves. It may not feel a great thing. However, on the other hand, if you're somebody that works with people who are in a place of maybe suicide or something like that, what you and the work that you're doing will absolutely be saving them. And actually, for those of you that say, well, that's not my field, that's not my area of expertise, maybe the work that you're doing is helping them to increase their own self-worth, their self-value, build their own self-esteem. What you're actually doing is helping them to not go down the path of low self-esteem, low confidence, self-loathing, which actually pulls them back from something that sometimes we even dread to think or speak. And then coming from a place of service, for me, this is a better fitting one. And again, people have these connotations about being humble and serving. But for me, coming from a place of service is actually about the place of which, even this broadcast comes from. I don't want anything from anybody for it. The only thing that I want is for people to go into a Monday morning with a spring in their step, with a bounce. And I know a few weeks back somebody had said, well, we should celebrate every day. Absolutely. And I'm not saying that's not the thing to do. But, you know, quite often there's family pressures, there's downtime, there's all these things that happen. There's the break, the natural break that normally comes in a weekend. And in order to get going again, it's like we could do with a bit of, a bit of oomph, a bit of a push, a bit of like I would say more of a propel. But wouldn't it be great if we can propel ourselves rather than relying on somebody else to push us? So this is why I talk about the saving or service. And this is why when it came out in the Black Panther film, I was just like, you know what, that's quite a deep question. It's a self-inquiry. No guru, no leader, no anybody else can drag you down the one's right, one's wrong, one's good, one's bad. This is a decision for you to make. And it could be that you, for the first 3 months of the year, you say, I'm going to save, and then the next, I'm going to serve. But it all needs to be dependent on how you feel. And sorry for the background noise, of course. The dust carts are going down the road. So that was one of the first things that really stood out for me. And there were a couple of other things that I'd love you to take into your week. So one of the ways to really motivate yourself, if you're feeling under the cosh this week, thank you for the love heart. I saw who you are, and I'm sending you lots of love. One of the other things that really jumped out, one of the other lines that really jumped out, which I wrote down here, was there's a line where one of the characters in the film says, just because something works doesn't mean it can't be improved. Honestly, I was like, in the cinema, I nearly kind of went, yes! Because I've been going through, like in the last 12 months, I would say, I've been going through and looking at how can I serve my audiences better. You know, I've got this entrepreneurial and business owner type audience, but I've also got the corporate audience, and I feel really comfortable in a corporate space. You know, a lot of I get a lot of inquiries from that corporate space. I can walk into a boardroom and give a presentation and not worry about it, but it hasn't always been that way. And one of the things that I see, especially when you look at environments, whether it's where we choose to spend our time in ourselves or where members of staff spend their time, can be because we can get complacent, we can get comfortable, and we forget to stretch ourselves. And the one thing that I know about a majority of the audience that I speak to is we all want to make the world a better place. We all want to leave a massive impression on the planet, and we want to make a huge impact while we're here. And in order to do that, if we go with the norm, if we accept what we're being told, if we don't challenge in a loving way, in a gentle way, in a productive way, if we don't challenge something because, well, it works, so it's okay, we're kind of literally wasting our time. So when I heard the line, just because something works doesn't mean it can't be improved, I was just like, absolutely. So last year I was like looking, and I quite often ask this question. For me, I ask myself the question in a way like, how can I make this better? How can I make this more, whatever the thing is? So if I'm looking to engage people into a conversation, how can I make this more engaging? If I'm looking to inspire people or motivate people, how can I make this more, inspiring? Even though it works and even though people love it, there's another notch that can be taken up. And by putting that stretch in myself, what I actually see in real life terms is that, the clients I work with, the organisations I work with, the people that I speak to also want something much different for themselves, and they'll strive for it, because what they're starting to not even see sometimes but feel is that somebody is reaching out and reaching for it, and it opens up what's possible for them as well. So I absolutely adored that just because something works doesn't mean it can't be improved. Where in your life is something working, but deep down you've got a yearning to improve it, to make it different, to make it better, to make it more effective, to make it more engaging, to make it more connecting? Where have you got that? And whatever just sprang into your mind that you're about to dismiss likely, start with that. One other saying, and there's two more before I wrap up. So if you've got any questions about what I'm talking about here, or got any insights that you'd like to share, love you to share it just down below. There was a line where a character kind of gave a bit of a nod to slavery. Again, as I say, this film is mainly black cast. And one of the things that they said literally gave me goosebumps as they said it. They talked about they didn't really talk about slavery per se, but they talked about what had gone on before. And they talked about people jumping from boats into water to their death. You know, you've got to remember, a lot of these people were being, transported by boats, couldn't swim, were, really sort of packed onto boats. And some of them didn't actually know what fate was ahead of them, but they knew it couldn't have been really great, and chose to jump over the sides of the boats. And the character in the film says they knew that death was better than bondage. And I was like, breathe that in. Now, whether you understand anything around slavery or ancestry or anything else like that, actually for this line is irrelevant. Every single day I meet people who enslave themselves in their own lives, and it's like they're dying a slow death. And they accept the bondage that comes with that. They accept the limitations that comes with that. They accept the frustrations that come with that, because they think that that's their lot. They would rather feel almost like a bondage to their life than freedom, than new ways of doing things. So I really invite you this morning, although this doesn't sound like the most motivational thing, it's so empowering. A, when you can identify it, and B, when you can release yourself from it. What things in your life, in your health, in your career, in your business, in how you show up in the world, aka visibility, what things in your life are feeling like they are strapping you in, capturing you? I ask this question, or a derivative of this question, on a regular basis. And based on that, I wondered to myself, when was the last time that I took time out for me to kind of like retreat and just do something for myself that wasn't a seminar, that wasn't a one day. And it made me think the last time I did that was in 2013, nearly 5 years ago. So based on asking those questions, it helps you to find, like, where can you find your inner sanctuary, so to speak. It could be something that you do by yourself, or it could be something that you do and go to. So for me, going to a really great retreat where I could take time out for myself is really important. I know that Lisa Pascoe on here understands the importance of that through her rewilding retreats that she has for women that want to just press pause on life. Things are getting too hectic and too fast. So they knew that death was better than bondage. So sometimes, in order to release ourselves from the ties of our own life, from the bondage of our own life, we need to take the leap and the jump. But you know what? That jump might not necessarily result in pending death. The fear that you feel just before that might make you think it's something to worry about, but it doesn't mean that you're going to have some sort of pending death. And in fact, it's the very thing that liberates you. And then the final thing that I want to say, the final line, and there were so many of these, I could do like a 3-hour broadcast, but I won't. But the final line that really struck a chord with me was a piece where one of the characters in the film says, "In times of crisis, the wise build bridges, while the foolish build barriers." Think about that for a moment. Now, this isn't about the debate of being wise or being foolish, but this is definitely about, like, where can we build bridges? Where can we collaborate? Where can we literally open and extend our arms to growth towards another person, towards another community, towards other people, towards other organisations, towards other people within the organisations? How and where can we do that? Because when we get into a place of being fearful about something, we then begin to act in a foolish manner. We're literally out of our right mind. And when we become out of our right mind, we can do some really silly things, some really unproductive things, some really unhelpful things. And actually, even though we feel like at the time, oh my gosh, I'm in a place of fear, I've got to stop this from happening, so I'm going to do this thing, what we can actually inadvertently do is build barriers for ourselves. which stops us from being able to reach out, stops us from being able to collaborate, stops us from being able to, extend and give a helping hand, come from a place of service or saving, So in times of crisis, what do? Do you build bridges or do you build barriers? Don't use this question to beat yourself up and put yourself in the I'm wise, I'm foolish category, but do use this question to look at how you can build bridges. And interestingly, one of the clients that I've worked with for a long time, in fact, that I'll be seeing a bit later on today, one of the clients that I've worked with recognised the value in this, recognised the value in working with somebody like me to be able to develop their strengths so that when they are in times of crisis, that they have got some sort of tools that they can use themselves. They don't have to call me and say, help, Jenny, I need you to do anything. They've already developed the tools. And, I'd love to say they get that all from me. They don't. They're interested in their own personal development and health and well-being so that they can, they can go forward in life. They can put one foot in front of the other without being dependent on somebody else, but in the spirit of collaboration of somebody else. So thank you, Buzz. Buzz says great points. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me. That's it for this Monday. If you want to continue the conversation, maybe you've seen the film, don't give any spoiler alerts. By all means, please, pop a comment in the box below. But if you'd rather continue the conversation somewhere a little bit more private, maybe like me, you prefer to video or live, please become a member of the Visibility Vibes tribe. And even if you haven't shown up in there for a long time, just go in and share your own insights if you've seen the film, or your own insights from this Monday Motivation. But most importantly, I would love to hear, out of what you've heard in here this morning, which one thing are you going to be thinking about differently as a result of this live? Thank you so much for those of you that have been sharing this on your timelines. I truly, truly appreciate you. Thank you for not keeping me a secret. And until the next time we speak, bye for now.